Hey guys, it's CBF here, and I'm bringing you the ultimate Overwatch 2 settings guide. So this is a video that I kind of talked about that I said I was gonna make on Twitter, and I'm here making it. This is mainly competitive oriented. This is not gonna give you the most beautiful looking game. I'm gonna tell you that straight up. The game will look nice. This is the game. Hold on. I'm gonna put the game on all low. The game was basically on all low. I just changed one setting. But this is the game on all low. As you can see, it doesn't look that bad. It looks really good. And that's one of the first things if you're new to this game. Easiest thing you can do is like what are the best settings? Graphics quality low. Just set it to low. And that'll get you that will get you started. Okay. So I'm gonna walk you through it. I'm not gonna tell you guys controls. I am going to go to accessibility first. So if you haven't done this already, I would. You want to do camera shake reduced and turn off. Oh, shoot. I had HUD shake on. Guess I got reverted because I had that off the other day. Turn these off. Reduce menu movement. I have on. I had it off. I don't know what the difference is. You can try it out and see what you like. I don't know. And that's the biggest thing with this whole guide is I'm not going to tell you this is the best settings. This is very much just a guide on, and you decide what works best for your system and what looks best to you personally, okay? And that's going to go for render scale, texture filter, and all that. So we're going to go into color blindness. Remember, this is all subjective. I'm not going to tell you which one to use. Simply, these are the colors I use. I use yellow enemy, neon blue friendly. Personally, this is just what I've heard is the best. I like this over the default. It's a lot more contrast, and that's why a lot of people do use colorblind settings. Just increasing the contrast between, with the default, it's red and blue. It's not super visible, where yellow is like, you can see that across the map. The outlines are very much more visible. To demonstrate that, let me just set this to red. And remember, a lot of colors can do the same thing. Pink can do this. There's a lot of different things that can do this. And the servers are actually working now. I don't know why they're working, but this is red. As you can see, it's just darker. It's not as like bright. So it's definitely still visible, and you can use red. I've seen everybody uses red. Pros can use red. There's some that use colorblind. It's seriously just a personal preference thing. I didn't use colorblind for a while. I'd use like neon blue just because it helps your allies stand out. I'd recommend that at least, or some other color. But see, this just looks different to me because I'm so used to yellow. But there's so many options. Like, these are all the colors you can choose from. And eventually, I'm pretty sure these are gonna get color-coded abilities. So abilities will also be like whatever color you choose. So eventually they'll be yellow. That's what they've said in Q&A, is that may be a while. Who knows when that's happening, but I'd like that. That'd be really cool. Okay. So make sure this is on reduced, HUD shake off, and I turned it on. I don't notice a difference, so that's why. All right, we can skip that. All this we can really skip. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only thing is enable high precision mouse input. Turn this on. I've been playing with this since like 2019. Turn on. It just helps out a lot. Lower input lag is just a better system in my opinion. HUD. Apparently there was something to this. I forgot. Tips displays off. Achievement display UI. Capture by the game UI. These are, you don't need to mess with this really. Waypoint opacity I heard was hold on. There's some CarQ video about it. Go to CarQ. There's probably something on it. I don't remember. I don't touch this. There's like some advantage to like making. I think if you turn this up, it makes waypoints more visible, like capture points. So right now we're gonna test that. This is gonna be a pretty long video if you can't already tell. Where we're just testing things. This is Numbani, which I've yet to play in Overwatch 2 actually. Holy crap. It's Numbani. Whoa, dude. It's Numbani. It looks exactly the same. Hello, Numbani. Well, I don't think... Did this get any adjustments? Is that why it's not in the pool? This may just be because there's no adjustments in this map. It doesn't look like it's adjusted. This is a good map for 5v5 in my opinion. But, do I need to activate the game mode? This is going to take forever if I have to activate the game mode. And we'll start it. Okay, we're going to have to wait for this game mode to start. So while it's doing that, I'm going to show you my settings. Hey. Simply video. I'm going to walk you through this super quick because a lot of this is personal preference. Some of this is personal preference. Some of this you just got to do. All right. Simply, first thing, full screen. Full screen your game. Full screen your game. I know some people do borderless windowed. If you want to hit high refresh rates and high FPS, it is the best to do full screen. Windowed full screen, I know you can switch quickly, but if your display set up correctly, you just press the key. It brings you right out. You just click on Overwatch again. You also use Alt Tab. So full screen, best match. Here, select your highest. So that's 1920 by 1080 at 240. Field of view, 103. Aspect ratio, whatever your aspect ratio monitor is, 16 by 9 is mine. Dynamic render scale, I'd personally turn this off. You can use it. I think it's good for low-end systems, but apparently this doesn't cause a performance issue like some people thought. You don't need to touch it, in my opinion. You don't need to touch it. I'd turn it off because I'm used to Overwatch 1 and a fixed render scale is fine. Render scale you want to set to custom, and you want to at least, okay, so I'll tell you, if it's automatic and you have a good system, it's going to be over 100, and you're not going to get as much frame rate, or frames, we'll just say frames. So set this, so 100 is your monitor's native resolution. If you don't know what render scale is, it is this, oh shoot. Okay, I got to get out of spawn. So this is 50% waypoint opacity. Where is, hold on. What was that, 25? That's 25. So by turning up this opacity, it basically just makes the waypoints more visible. Whether you use that or not, I don't care. I'm going to stick that at 50% now. I really like that. Just because that's easier to see in my opinion. So, yeah, that's just easier to see. I like that. So I'm going to keep that on personally. Okay. Now we can pause the match. And I can, oh. Alright, we're going to leave. And I'm going to walk you through the rest of my settings right now. Okay, cool. So I've already established you want to turn on dynamic render scale and you want to set a custom render scale. Now, whatever you set your custom render scale to is up to you. In Overwatch 1, you could set them in intervals of 25. So 50, 75, 100, 125, and 150 were the values. And there was also automatic. And that is what this automatic is. Now in Overwatch 2, you can set any numerical value up to 200, which is nuts. Don't do that. That'd be basically rendering this in 1440p. Don't know why you do that. It'd look nicer, but you still have the same amount of pixels. I don't know. Okay. So render scale. In Overwatch 2 or in Overwatch 1, a lot of pros set to 75. I want you to at least do 100. Do 100. Do 100. That's just your native resolution. It'll look nice. But you can drop this, and by dropping this is rendering the game at a lower resolution. Don't worry, this does not affect like if you change resolution, it's not like that. It just renders, it's just different the scale it renders the game at. The lower this value is, the blurrier the game's gonna get. Simply put that. Now there is a way to increase the sharpening, so it's not as bad, and that's what the AMD FSR does, and that's what the whole sharpening thing is, and I personally use it. But basically you set this whatever value you want. If you don't care about quality at all, set this to 75 and leave it. If you like a bit more quality, I set it to 80 personally. You can do 85, you can do 90, you can do 95. I'd recommend not leaving it on 100 because, like, why? You can drop it to 95 and you probably wouldn't notice. Basically, drop it to whatever doesn't look terrible. And also, by the way, the lower your render scale is, the bigger the outlines are, because rendering at a low resolution. You stretch it, the outlines get bigger. It's kind of like stretch resolution, but not really. So you play at a lower render scale, bigger outlines. It's not stretching the game, but kind of that same concept. It makes the hitboxes bigger, makes them easier to see. That's why you'd want a lower render scale. But remember, it's also like what you like personally. I'm not gonna say, oh, you put it don't put it at 50. By the way, that's horrible. 75, I'd do like 75, between 75 and 100 is what I'd aim for. Personally, I set to 80. That's what I've gotten used to. It's just I've had it set. I left it. Frame rate, you can set to automatic if you want. If you don't care, set to automatic. It'll do it automatically based off of your resolution and your monitor. Custom, I don't know. I just prefer custom. There's no reason, really. It doesn't matter at all. But I set this 10 frames above my max. You don't have to do that exactly. There's like general rules. Like if you're playing on 144 hertz, like you could do like 160, or you can set to automatic. Like I'm on 240 hertz, so I set to 250, 360, maybe like 370, 375, whatever. Like 10. Like either you can set it directly to your, and you can also enter in here, by the way. You can enter in 240 if you want to be exactly at 240. I like 250. Frame rate cap is nice. It's really important if you're streaming to have a frame rate cap. That's gonna reduce your GPU load a lot. It'll make streaming the game a lot easier. I remember when I had a super crappy PC and I was trying to stream like Fortnite and stuff, having an FPS cap. And even in Overwatch, I think in Overwatch it was a big thing too. Like having an FPS cap actually makes streaming a lot easier. So just make it right around your display's refresh rate. Make sure it's above. It's at least at your refresh rate, or it's above. And your refresh rate is also this value in parentheses, by the way, if you didn't know that. If you need to know how to unlock your refresh rate, blah, 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 look that up, okay? I'm assuming that you've configured your monitor correctly and you know this stuff. So if you don't, do other stuff. And by the way, this is all PC. You can probably notice by now this is all PC. I know, no controller. You can look that up. Alright, so these settings. VSync off. Don't turn that on. Extra input delay. VSync is just not a good feature. If you do... So basically, VSync is an attempt to reduce screen tearing. Now, I'm going to get into reflex and adaptive sync and G-sync. And why I don't set this to enable plus boost, there's some reasons. Okay, so cover that. Triple buffering, turn that off. Extra input lag, don't need that. Reduce buffering, if you have a NVIDIA card, you do not need this on. You can turn this off. This is the thing you have to turn on, like, every time you alt-tab, you got to return it on, apparently. I don't know if that's true. I've had issues with it, specifically with these two settings. I run a 240 hertz G-Sync monitor, and there's something wrong. I turned this to boost earlier, and I had flickering on my monitor. It was having weird problems with, maintaining frame rate, and the refresh rate was jumping all over the place. It was getting lag. I was at like 70 degrees Celsius. I was usually running at like 50, so I was running like 20 degrees hotter. Okay, I'm not trying to tell you don't run this. It's a setting you can try. But if you have an NVIDIA card, enabled. If you have an AMD card, disable, or Intel now, disable it, and then just turn on reduce buffering if you do not have an NVIDIA card. So turn that on. If you have an NVIDIA card, turn this to enabled. You can try enabled plus boost. I've noticed there's a minuscule impact on input lag. It's not that much. Sometimes it can be a performance cost too, so I don't recommend it personally. And especially if you have either adaptive sync or G-Sync monitor. Well, if you have was it adaptive sync? No. Free sync. But adaptive sync is the technology. So if you have a free sync, of course you have an AMD card, turn this off. If you have an NVIDIA card and are running G-Sync, just leave it enabled. I just recommend enabled regardless. Just put it on enabled. Don't put it to boost. It's not really worth it, in my opinion, in my testing. HDR, you can turn this on if you like, if you have an HDR monitor, but it doesn't really matter for a game like Overwatch. If you want like the best looking game, turn it on, I guess, but not really. Gamma correction, contrast, brightness, these are all subjective. You can tweak these. Gamma correction, just you'll see like brightens or darkens We'll change some of the colors. Revert, please. I don't know what I had that set to. 2.13. Okay. There you go. So just set this to whatever you like. Figure it out. And then graphics quality. Simply low. Set everything to low if you are a competitive player. Set to low. If you just like to have fun, there's something else for you. But I can walk you through that. Basically, if you're not about that, if you're not a competitive player, I'm going to do you guys second. Okay. First of all, everybody. I'll just do this easily. High quality upsampling. AMD FSR 1.0. All right. Simply, if you are running at a high render scale and and the game does not look blurry to you, set this to 0. Set this to 0. Do not just set it to 0 because I think it's at like 0.50. Just set it to 0. If you're on a like 100 plus or maybe 95 or 90, if you just can't notice and it doesn't bother you, you don't need to do this. But this is just image sharpening, which usually you had to do in NVIDIA settings or AMD settings. Now it's just a built-in slider. It's really great. Personally, for 80%, I use 0.30 image sharpening. And this doesn't have an effect on performance. This actually, if you have this on 0, I've seen videos saying this increases your performance. I've also heard some people had issues with this. So if you have issues, don't use it, of course. But if you're running a high render scale, 0. If you're running a lower render scale, I'd recommend I'm at 80, 0.30. Maybe if you're at a higher one, 0.35. I've done even this value, which is nuts, maybe 20. Just figure out what you like, how much image sharpening you like, and you'll be good. All right. So if you're just looking for fun, you don't really need to look at video settings. But if you're looking on how to improve your performance, I told you right there. Simply, just turn your render scale down is one of the easiest things to do. Texture quality you can turn down if the game still looks good. Remember, this is on all low settings, by the way, and the game still looks good. What are things you can increase? So basically, if we had this on low, everything's on low. Not everything is off. Okay, cool. So you can turn everything to low and the game will still look good. Now, what would I recommend you turn up? Okay. If you're a competitive player, turn this to low. If you like visuals, turn that to high. Texture filtering quality. This uses GPU VRAM. Also, I'm gonna get most of this stuff from was it Bebop? I think was the guy. He did a really good video on settings for competitive Overwatch, for Overwatch 1 specifically. But they're really good. They are really, really good, and I definitely recommend them. Recommend the video. I'll link it in the description. Go check it out if you're looking for more in-depth, if you're a competitive player. But I can run you through it. So, texture filtering quality. GPU, use your GPU VRAM. So if you have a dedicated GPU and you're not running on a laptop and it's not going to like explode, turn this up. Again, it just filters the textures, makes things look cleaner. It's not that much of a difference, but it doesn't actually affect performance, just VRAM. So I turn it to 16. You can have it at 8. There's probably not much of a difference between those two, but I use 16x. Local fog detail. Again, these are fog effects. If you like visuals, turn it up, of course. If you like visuals, just do whatever your computer, maybe like you can tweak some settings. Local fog detail. This is something you can turn down if you want more frames. Just put it to low if you're a competitive player. Dynamic reflections you can turn off if you are a competitive player. You can turn them up if you like. Just figure out what you like. Really, this is just about what I'll show you, and then and then figuring out what you like. So then shadow detail. Shadow detail is going to be low. You do not want it off. I would suggest not having it off. Shadows you can have on high, or you can turn them down from maybe ultra to high or medium. I think medium is pretty good is what I've heard. So either if you really want to get those frames, do it low. If you like more quality, medium. Simple as that. You want them on because shadows can give away positions, and it's kind of a minuscule thing. It doesn't really matter, but it's up to you. Model detail set to ultra. This again is a VRAM thing. Again, just models look better. No real effect on performance. It may. If it does, you can put it back to low. It does not matter. This is not like an essential thing. This is just, it doesn't really matter. So it may make it easier to spot, whatever. Effects low. You don't need effects. Turn effects down if you need frames. Lighting you can turn down. The game still looks good with effects and lighting on low. It doesn't matter. Anti-alias. I've I was a pretty strong component of anti-alias. I think the game looked really jarring without it. I've gotten really used to no anti-aliasing. This will save you performance, obviously. What I've seen is either, as a competitive player, use medium or off. You can do high if you like more quality, maybe ultra. That's it. Refraction quality, turn to low. Doesn't matter. Ambient occlusion is just off. You can have it on, but I don't really care. Local refraction's off, and then damage effects you want on low. This doesn't make that much of a difference, but if like Reaper shotgun show up as purple and not like red, it makes some abilities easier to spot. It doesn't make that much of a difference, but I still recommend it. Okay, so those are all graphics settings. Here, this is all personal preference, and I think that's actually all of it right there. I think did I just go through everything just like that? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so there you go. There's your video. There's the best settings for Overwatch 2, kind of. Quote, best settings. Of course, they're subjective. Figure out what you like, and I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.